Hi, I'm Dave Boer. In this video, we will review the coverage election forms that you will receive from your insurance company prior to your auto insurance renewal. This involves electing a coverage amount for your bodily injury liability and a coverage amount for your personal injury protection medical expense coverage. These forms are required as a result of the auto insurance no-fault reform law that was passed in June of 2019 and goes into effect on July 2nd, 2020. The forms you will receive from your insurance company prior to your renewal were developed by the Michigan Department of Insurance and Financial Services for use by all insurance companies. So regardless of the insurance company you have, the forms should look very similar to what I'm showing you here today. The first form we'll talk about is the bodily injury liability coverage election form. You'll notice that when you receive this form, this section should be pre-filled with your information. So you shouldn't have to do anything with this. This part of the form just states what the purpose of the form is. Part A describes what bodily injury liability coverage does. And within this section, it does state that you can select no less than $50,000 per person and $100,000 per accident for this coverage. That is the new minimum required by state law and replaces the prior minimum of $20,000 per person and $40,000 per accident. Either one of those sets of limits is way inadequate, and we don't recommend that for anybody. Also in this form, you'll see that the state of Michigan is now recommending that everyone carry at least $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident for this coverage. Someone who wants to carry limits lower than that still can, but they will need to complete this form and submit it to their insurance company. As noted in this section, if your current policy has limits of $250,000 per person and $500,000 per accident or more, you do not need to complete this form. Your policy will just renew with the same limits of coverage that you've had in the past. Our agency has been recommending that our clients carry liability limits of at least $500,000 per person and $500,000 per accident for many years now. So many of our clients will already have limits higher than what's recommended by the state and will not need to return this form unless they want to change their limits. Part B on this form outlines the risks of not carrying enough liability coverage. If you're involved in a car accident with a serious injury and the injured party brings a lawsuit against you, if it turns out that your liability limits are not adequate to cover the lawsuit against you, you may have to forfeit your assets, or a lien may be placed on your home, your wages may be garnished, and your driver's license could be suspended until you're able to pay off the judgment. So it's very important that you carry adequate liability limits. Again, we've been recommending at least $500,000 per person and $500,000 per accident, plus an umbrella liability policy for most people. And in Part C, you need to initial each of these lines, confirming that you have reviewed the forms, you understand the coverage and the forms and your options, and that you're selecting the option that you've indicated on the separate form that you will receive from your insurance company. Once you've initialed all those lines, you would sign down here and date over here, and then return this form to your insurance company along with the separate form that shows the different coverage options available and your selection. We cannot show you that here because that will come from your insurance company specific to your policy, and we have not seen any as of the date of production of this video. Again, you don't need to return this form if your current limits of liability coverage for bodily injury are at least $250,000 per person, $500,000 per accident or higher, and you want to keep those limits. Now let's review the form for the personal injury protection medical coverage. On this form, like the other, this section should be pre-filled with your information. This section outlines the purpose of this form. And here they describe what personal injury protection coverage does. As noted here, the personal injury protection medical expense coverage election form is divided into 3 sections. Section A, you review your medical coverage options and the risks and benefits of each option. Section B will ask you to choose one coverage option. Section C will ask you to certify your choice and acknowledge the information within this form. This section right here, this notice section, just basically states that if you fail to return this form, your policy will be renewed with unlimited PIP medical expense coverage, which is the same coverage you've always had on this policy. You just never had a choice until now to choose a lower limit. So if you want to keep unlimited medical expense coverage, you don't have to return this form. And down here we have definitions that may be helpful in understanding the coverage options in this form. Now we're at section A, where we describe your options, the risks, and the benefits. Option 1 is unlimited coverage. This just means that there is no dollar maximum for this coverage. So if you have medical expenses from a car accident, which could include your medical bills, surgical fees, durable goods, and also attendant care and skilled nursing care, there is no dollar limit on how much they'll pay. So if you're hurt in a car accident, they will pay those benefits for the rest of your life as long as they are related to a car accident. In option 2, you would select a maximum limit of $500,000 per person per accident instead of unlimited coverage. Option 3, you would choose $250,000 per person per accident. And again, these top 3 options apply to everybody in your household who's a family member, that is. And outlined below option 2 and 3 are the risks, which is basically that you might not have enough coverage under a selection of $500,000 or $250,000 to cover all of your medical expenses from a car accident. And the benefits, which is basically a lower premium than if you chose unlimited coverage. And option 4 is limited coverage of $250,000 with some or all persons excluded from PIP medical. Under option 4, people with qualified health coverage can be excluded from PIP coverage altogether, while others in the household who don't have qualified health coverage can continue to be covered for a limit of $250,000. And the risks are outlined below, as well as the benefits. The benefit is you'll pay a lower premium, and if everybody is excluded under option 4, you'll pay no premium for personal injury protection medical expense coverage. Please review the risks carefully, and I would suggest you refer to our other video that goes into depth on the pros and cons of choosing option 4. On the next page is option 5, limited coverage of $50,000 per person per accident. And this is only available to people who are enrolled in Medicaid, and other requirements apply as well. Option 6 is no PIP medical coverage for anyone covered by this policy. So the named insured and all resident relatives, that is family members living in the home, would have no PIP medical coverage under this policy. So in order to qualify, the named insured has to have Medicare Parts A and B, and everybody else in the house has to qualify to be excluded by way of the fact that they either have qualified health coverage or they have their own auto insurance policy with PIP coverage included. There are significant risks associated with using option 6, so I would suggest that before making this decision, you watch our other video to get more details. The benefit of using option 6 is that your auto insurance policy will not have a charge for personal injury protection medical expense coverage. In section B, you'll need to initial one and only one option. So you'll either choose unlimited, or $500,000, or $250,000 for everybody in the family. Or option 4 would be $250,000 for anybody who's covered, with some people excluded. Or option 5, if you happen to be on Medicaid and qualify and choose that. Or option 6, if you have Medicare Parts A and B, so you qualify and choose to use option 6. If you use option 4, your insurance company is going to want a list of everybody in your household who should be excluded from PIP medical expense coverage because they have qualified health coverage. So you'll need to list the name and the birth date of each person in your home who is a family member who should be excluded from your policy. For anyone who is going to be excluded, they must have qualified health coverage. And the insurance company is going to require you to provide a letter from your health insurance company stating that their policy covering you is qualified health coverage. So before returning this form, make sure you ask your health insurance carrier for that letter. If you're eligible for and choose option 6, and anybody in your household is being excluded because they have qualified health coverage, your insurance company is also going to want a list of people in the household who are opting out because they have qualified health coverage, and they're going to want the name, birth date, and a copy of the letter stating that their coverage is qualified health coverage from the health insurance carrier. And finally, in section C, you initial each of these lines, and then you sign down here and date in the bottom right corner. Once you've completed this form, please return it to your insurance company. However, if you decide you want to stay with the unlimited PIP medical expense coverage that you've had in the past, you may complete this form and return it, but it's not mandatory. If you don't return it, your policy will just renew with the PIP unlimited medical expense coverage that you've had in the past. I hope this video has been helpful. If you have questions, please schedule a call with one of our agents at 363-7766. Thanks for watching this video.